view of precedents and international norms where it regards the use of chemical weapons was really crystallized during the 1980s, and the use by Saddam Hussein and the disregard of the international community, and even as recent revelations that a project that Bruce has been involved with have demonstrated that, to some extent, perfect awareness by the part of the Reagan administration and other Western governments of what was happening in Iraq and the use of chemical agents against Iranian soldiers and Iraqi civilians. This is the worldview that has been set for the Iranians. From that experience, they believe that the American invocation of international law, of norms on nonproliferation, is entirely manipulable, that it is not, in fact, a fixed idea of what international law is, but in fact a utilitarian invocation of these principles in order to further their aims. And the way they see American aims in Syria is an effort to destabilize the region, to acquire a greater hold on the resources of the region, and to quell those rising powers such as Iran, which might be challenging to the United States. This is the sort of rhetoric we heard out of Ayatollah Khamenei today when he talked about the chemical weapons attack as a pretext. I don't believe the argument he was making was that the attack never happened. In fact, that has been the subject of some debate on the Iranian side. We've seen these different interpretations, and in fact, I would argue something of a pivot by the Iranian leadership away from the Russian argument that this is simply a use by rebels or some other force, toward an acknowledgement, somewhat cagey and disavowed and walked back and then walked forward by former President Rafsanjani and others, that in fact this was a use of chemical weapons by the government. But for the Iranians, our action, or lack thereof, in Syria is not going to, I think, further compel them toward a nuclear weapons acquisition objective. Their entire worldview was framed by this period of the 1980s.